What is going on, good people? Today we are here to do another mock draft to prepare you for your rapidly approaching fantasy draft in either August or September. So without further ado, here we go. So we are back using the mock draft wizard on Fantasy Pros. I highly recommend it to just to rip off a quick mock draft here. You can draft against the Fantasy Pros experts and their rankings. So we're just going to do 2025 season PPR snake 12 teams. We're going to randomize my pick. I'm not going to do the 3rd or the 11th pick because we've already done those. If you want to check out those mock drafts, they are here live on the channel. Go check those out. We're going to randomize and we are going to get the 2nd overall pick. So we'll stick there. And we're going to go with 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers at tight end, 3 flexes, a bench of 6. Let me just do the quick math here. Yeah, that would be 16. If I'm doing my math right, that's always an if. I think I'm right there. We're going to draft against the Fantasy Pros experts with an emphasis on wide receivers because I like to draft wide receivers. I like to make it difficult for myself, and it's a PPR league, so people would be drafting wide receivers more highly. So without further ado, make sure we got all the right settings here. Here we go. The draft is loading, and here we go. Let's go to the draft board, and Bijan Robinson comes off the bat. And I find this interesting that all the Fantasy Pros experts are over here at the back end of the draft. So we have Derek Brown, Pat Fitzmaurice, Andrew Erickson, Joe Pisapia in this draft. And they made this pretty easy for me because I'm just going to run sprint to the podium and take Jamar Chase at the 102. So I don't think it's too controversial to say that Jamar Chase is going to be most people's 101 and has the highest upside of any wide receiver. As much as I like Malik Neighbors, I mean, I honestly don't mind being in the middle of the first round this year because you get a shot at a Malik Neighbors or a Puka Nacua, or potentially if you're at the back half of the draft, which as you can see, Saquon Barkley falls all the way to the 110 in this draft. I doubt that that's going to happen. But since I've pushed up wide receivers in this particular draft, that is probably why. And now it's interesting because we have both a tight end and a running back that I really like on the board. But there's also another running back down there. I mean, do we chance it? They've gone Bijan. I mean, the only 1 pick, so it's hard to tell what a computer is going to do. But I think Derrick Henry has to be the pick here. I think Derrick Henry has to be the pick. So we start with Jamar Chase and Derrick Henry, and this team surprises me and goes 2 running backs. I had my eye on Chase Brown potentially, and now we're sitting here, and Trey McBride is staring us in the face. Garrett Wilson, I like that quite a bit with that. Garrett Wilson, I like, even though I'm not the biggest Justin Fields stan in the world or fan. Is it proper to say stan? I don't know. I don't know. I don't keep up with the lingo in the fantasy community. I just know some people use the word stan to describe players that they like. And a part of me doesn't really understand it, to be honest with you. But hey, you do what you want to do, all right? And you fly that stand flag if you want to use that word. Who am I to judge? This year, as much as I want to take Trey McBride here, and that's probably the value I should go after, you know what? In fact, yeah, I'm not going to overthink it. If Trey McBride falls to this pick, and the reason why I'm so reluctant to take Trey McBride, I should just say this. I feel like I'm jumping all over the place. I'm sorry. These mock drafts give me the freedom to really explore all my thoughts, and sometimes all the thoughts come at me at once, and it's it can be overwhelming. But the reason I'm so reluctant to take Trey McBride is because there are tight ends that I like later, and I think that that is my favorite approach to the tight end position is saying F it. I'm gonna try to find the guy. I'm gonna try to find this year's Jonnu Smith, and I'm gonna take 2 or 3 shots on that guy, and I'm gonna stream the position because when you look at it overall, drafting a tight end in round 3 or 4 or doing what I can assume is a team name all you can ETN. Okay, all you can ETN up here did by taking Brock Bowers at the 205. I would not have done that. I'm probably not going to have much Brock Bowers this year. Is because the difference between that and taking a wide receiver like Garrett Wilson, there's just more upside, and you can try to stream the position or find, because there's always a tight end that sneaks into that top 6 or top 8 or whatever the case may be, and it's easier said than done, to be sure. And I say all that, and I'm gonna take Trey McBride here. So I feel pretty good about the start. Jamar Chase, Derrick Henry, Trey McBride. But let me know what you think in the comments. So I'm just gonna quickly break down some of these teams over here. So we have Derek Brown, Brian Thomas Jr., Devontae Adams, Mike Evans, Kenneth Walker. I like that team quite a bit. Pat Fitzmaurice, Saquon Barkley, AJ Brown, George Kittle, Jonathan Taylor, Andrew Erickson, Nico Collins, Ashton Genty, Ted McMillan, Teteroa McMillan, Marvin Harrison, and Joe Pisapia, Drake London, Ladd McConkey, Kyron Williams, and Terry McLaurin. So we're back here on the clock, and Joe Burrow is staring us right in the face. And to be honest with you, a lot of these players are very similar in my ranks. There's nothing that's really standing out to me. I could keep scrolling, I suppose, or I could just take Joe Burrow and have that old cliche of a stack of Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. I think that's what I'm going to do. So Joe Burrow, then Joe Mixon and Devonta Smith both come off the board. And I think I probably have to go wide receiver here because we have to fill 3 wide receiver positions, and I don't want to push that position too far down the board. There is a second-year breakout that I love in Rome Odunze and Juwan Jennings I like, but feels kind of early to take those guys. And we'll see how this mock draft plays out. I've only done one other one, and it, obviously you're drafting against their rankings and some bots here, or however they set it up. But I really wonder if the positional scarcity factor of it matters. If they've taken a bunch of wide receivers, will wide receivers fall later in the draft? Because typically if you're in a draft, that's what happens. But I'm just going to go ahead and take, this might not be popular because DK Metcalf's going to have a higher target share. Cortland Sutton's probably going to have a higher target share. I'm not a huge Zay Flowers fan, definitely not into Chris Olave at his current price. So I'm just going to swing for the fences with Jalen Waddle and let the chips fall where they may, and a bunch of wide receivers. Oh my God. They just continue to draft wide receivers. And it just makes sense, so maybe I'm regretting Trey McBride now. Perhaps I'm regretting, waiting on wide receiver as far as I have. But there's still some wide receivers I like. So we're going to continue to hit wide receiver. Sam Laporta, Hawkinson, again, I really like where Hawkinson's going. I really like where Quinshon Judkins is going. I put out a Twitter post about how Quinshon Judkins, I think, is currently where he's being drafted. You see Trevion Henderson and Omarion Hampton and RJ Harvey going, probably around or 2 higher in this particular exercise. But especially Trevion Henderson and RJ Harvey and Omarion Hampton are all being drafted well ahead of where Quinshon Judkins is being drafted in Underdog. And I know some people might think it's crazy. I know the offense is probably going to be bad, but if you look at Kevin Stefanski's offenses, they always run a ton of plays. They always rush the ball a ton, aside from last year, because low-key Kevin Stefanski probably didn't believe that they had the horses at running back last year with a really inefficient Nick Chubb for part of the season and Jerome Ford, which is why they drafted 2 running backs, which is why they drafted one extremely highly in Quinshon Judkins, who, oh, by the way, profiles very similarly to a young Nick Chubb. So I think that he could be a bell cow as soon as this season. And I also love the tape and I love the prospect coming out. So there's my not so brief Quinshon Judkins rant, and you can check out my Twitter. Go follow me on Twitter at Seth_DIEWOLD. So I think I'm gonna, Jordan Addison would be tempting here. Roma Dunze. I mean, it's kind of one of those things where do I risk it, because this team has gone full just don't care. I mean, they've pushed wide receiver so far. So they're probably going to take a couple wide receivers. And you know what? I am going to hope that I can get both Rome. Well, I'm probably not going to get Rome. See, I think Jordan Addison's probably the pick I should make. But I'm going to go Rome Odunze just because I can't quit Rome. And I knew that would happen. I knew that would happen. So we're going to probably go right back to wide receiver. Juwan Jennings, I think, is interesting. But I don't know if he belongs this far above Ricky Pearsall, to be honest with you. And Josh Downs, I like quite a bit as well. So we do have some options here and this is also why I'm not a huge fan of taking quarterback as early as I did, because we still have Patrick Mahomes, Kyler Murray. I mean, there's still some great options. I'm not the biggest Justin Fields guy, but Justin Fields I'm not gonna not acknowledge the fact that he has a ton of upside. So, gosh, there's a lot of players that I really like, but I think I'm going to go with one of my favorite breakouts this year. If he hasn't broken out already, I don't know, in Josh Downs. And especially considering this is a PPR league, and especially considering he's going to play the slot quite a bit. So we have gone with basically a hero running back approach in Derrick Henry. It's a good hero to have. So we'll scroll down here so we can kind of reset this screen. We have 4 wide receivers. So these quarterbacks are just not getting drafted in this particular format, which is fine. So we do have Ricky Pearsall does fall to us. So I think that is going to be a consideration. But we also need to be cognizant of the fact that we need running backs. Now, this team here, if I'm just putting my draft hat on, probably, I mean, I think that they might be good at running back for a while. So I don't think that they're going to take my favorite running back on the board right now, which would be Travis Etienne. So I think I am going to go with another wide receiver and just continue to load up on that position. And if I don't get who I want, there's nothing wrong with having a plethora of wide receivers in a PPR league. So they do go with Kyler Murray and Debo, kind of like I thought they might. So let's just go with the running back that I was going to take. And you let me know what you think of this in the comments. But Travis Etienne as my RB2. All you really need to do, in my opinion, is look at the 2023 season that he had. And I'm not saying that that's going to happen under Liam Cohn in Jacksonville, but we do know that Liam Cohn was the guy who decided, we're going to go with Bucky Irving over Rashad White. So it is a risk because in between the tackles, I don't think you can deny that Tank Bigsby was more efficient and just better than Travis Etienne was. But also on the other hand, Travis Etienne was banged up last year. He dealt with a shoulder and a hamstring injury in the middle of the season. And I just can't get the 2023 season out of my head. Yes, was he inefficient in between the tackles? Of course he was. But 58 receptions, 407 over almost 500 receiving yards in 2023. Number 7 amongst running backs in targets. And I think that that's how he could be used this season. And in a PPR league, if he's used primarily as a pass catcher in the 9th round, I feel like we just got a steal. So I like that pick quite a bit. Now, we could go back to, gosh, these quarterbacks are just not getting drafted. Should have waited on quarterback. Oh, well, but we had the stack of all stacks in Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. So almost T. Higgins coming back to us in round 2. I don't know if we would have gone that route or not. But let's see here. I'm scrolling. Running backs kind of dried up a little bit. We do need some more running backs on this roster. Luther Burden is tempting. I mean, I don't know if I would go Tank Bigsby, but we could just lock down whoever the running back is in Jacksonville. I mean, probably not. That's probably not a good idea. But man, wide receiver, I'm just not enthused by any of these options, to be honest with you. Does Austin Eckler still have some juice left? I think that's probably where I'm leaning, if I'm being honest, in a PPR league. Let me just quick bring up some Austin Eckler data here, some statistics. Austin Eckler last year ranked number 29 amongst running backs in targets, despite playing in just 12 games. And we're probably, there's probably some running backs with some more upside on the board. You know what? James Conner probably can't stay healthy the entire season, right? I'm gonna bet on Trey Benson as a handcuff, and then so Jonnu Smith and Luther Burden come off the board. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wide receivers. So I feel good about that. We have our quarterback, we have our tight end, and I still love I think the running back position is where we go. I do like Cedric Tillman quite a bit, but that, as we mentioned, that offense is probably not going to be very good, and I don't like taking the second option in the offense, potentially a third option in the offense when the offense is not going to be very good. I mean, I kind of love these two players as handcuffs, Tyler Algier and Isaac Guerendo. Ray Davis is also tempting, but Tyler Algier is the clear handcuff there in Atlanta. And if anything happens to Bijan Robinson, you would think that he would be the guy going forward. So now we are in the last 5 rounds or last 5 picks. So now we are really going to focus on some of the sleepers, and we definitely should have waited on quarterback. All these quarterbacks, I mean, based on the value what we could have gotten here, I think anyway, I should stop begrudging the fact that I picked quarterback way earlier than I wanted to get the stack. I can't apologize for getting the stack of all stacks. But I think that there are a couple players here. I think Jalen Wright would be a smash pick here, just to get another handcuff. and then I'm gonna chance that, my wide receiver is still on the board. I think that's the direction I'm gonna go. I'm gonna draft Jalen Wright, and yes, my wide receiver, Marquise Hollywood Brown, is still available. I acknowledge that, but Wan'Dale Robinson in a PPR league, I think could be a cheat code, because let me just look this up to confirm. Been doing a lot of research. There's a lot of information floating around in my head. Number 10 amongst wide receivers in targets, number 2 amongst wide receivers in slot snaps, and the quarterback situation is going to be a lot better this season for him and Malik Neighbors. It can't be worse than it was last season with 10 games of Daniel Jones, Drew Lock, Tim Boyle. There's another guy I can't think of at the moment. Tommy DeVito. So now they have Russell Wilson, Jackson Dart, Jameis Winston, who we know propelled Jerry Jeudy last year. I believe Jerry Jeudy averaged 21 fantasy points per game with Jameis Winston under center. So, and we know that there's not a lot of target competition in the offense. I mean, there's Malik Neighbors, but clearly Wan'Dale Robinson is the number 2 wide receiver, plays in the slot. So all the attention goes to Malik Neighbors on the outside, and Darius Slayton, well, I don't know how much attention he's going to get, but that's going to leave Wan'Dale Robinson over the middle of the field running those short routes. And, that's the kind of season he had. He ran short routes, only 7.5 yards per reception, 4.8 average depth of target, ranked number 106 amongst wide receivers. But in PPR leagues, I think he could be a sneaky value. So that's exactly why we took him. So with our last 3 picks, we're going to be looking for some steals here. I'm not overly thrilled with there's just so many quarterbacks, but we can stream our second quarterback position. Mason Taylor, I think, could have a nice season right away as a rookie, just based on what's in the offense right now. Gosh, if we scroll too far down, I get unenthused with the options, but I'm leaning either Justice Hill or Will Shipley, just to get more running backs on the roster, considering we went wide receiver, so we didn't miss out in that neck of the woods. So we have 5 wide receivers, or 6 wide receivers now. So I do think running back is likely where we're going to go. And I'm just going to go with, where was he? Am I missing him? Will Shipley is going to be my pick, because if anything happens to Saquon, he is the most likely guy who's going to fill in. And the other running back that I was considering, Justice Hill, is still available. So again, I believe he is the next man up. And I've come around on the idea of handcuffing your own running backs. So we have Derrick Henry and we have Justice Hill. So if anything happens to Derrick Henry, we should be covered at least somewhat. I understand it's probably not going to be a perfect, it's not going to be a perfect, he's Justice Hill is not going to see the same amount of opportunities if he's the starter that Derrick Henry would see. And there's just not a ton here that I'm overly thrilled by. Let's make sure. Jalen Knoll would be an interesting stash at wide receiver. In fact, yeah, I think that looks like Alec Pierce is just better and best ball, the very definition of better and best ball. And Andre Yoshiva's, or Yoshivas, however you say that, I do like better and best ball, but you were never going to know when to start him. Yeah. So as a stash, a rookie with a lot of talent that could fill a role right away, potentially, if Christian Kirk isn't good or isn't healthy. In a PPR league, I like getting Jalen Knoll. Oh, so we got a B+. Oh, much better than last time. We just got a B. Um, so we'll recap this team real quick, and then we'll see what the experts had to say about it. So we have Joe Burrow, Derrick Henry, Travis Etienne, Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, Roma Dunze, Trey McBride, Josh Downs, Ricky Pearsall, Trey Benson finds a way into our flex position, although I'd probably throw Wandell Robinson in there. To be honest with you, right off the bat, Tyler Algier, Jalen Wright, Wandell Robinson, Will Shipley, Justice Hill, Jalen Knoll on our bench. Let's view the full analysis, shall we? Yes. So, we snuck into the top four, fourth overall, according to the Fantasy Pros mock draft wizard. And Pierre from Fantasy Endgame really liked our draft. So did Kev, Dr. Roto. Let's see who didn't like it. Oh man, Jorge or George hated it from Fantasy and Frames. Joe Pisapia thought we didn't really get like horrible grades from the people who didn't like it either. So yeah, so there you go. Let's look at the draft board one more time. Kind of give you an idea. Picking out of the 2 spot once again, we will kind of recap this team. We kind of went with a modified hero RB approach and getting Jamar Chase. So we got Jamar Chase, Derrick Henry, Trey McBride, Joe Burrow, Jalen Waddle, Roma Dunze, Josh Downs, Ricky Pearsall, Travis Etienne, Trey Benson, Tyler Algier, Jalen Wright, Wandell Robinson, Will Shipley, Justice Hill, and Jalen Knoll. And see, B plus. Apparently, we're getting better at this. Drop your comments. Let me know what you think. And until next time, yes. And this is how you know I'm a true grinder. Look at this. 5:50 in the morning is when we started this draft. So this again, and also this mock draft is taking place on Friday. It's going to be published on Monday. So if anything catastrophic happens over the weekend, maybe I should have said that at the start. I apologize if anything bad happens to any of these players we took. Things happen. Apologies if that happens. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to click the like button if you like this content. Subscribe to the channel. And until next time, be good, everyone. And we will see you later.